Is your buyer not performing? Hey guys, thanks for tuning back in. My name is Robert Mack, and today I'm talking to all the sellers out there, and specifically I'm talking about, is your buyer not performing? So to put this into perspective, when you accept an offer from a buyer, there are specific terms negotiated up front with regards to the timelines for the buyer's contingency. The primary contingencies are inspection contingency, which involve the general home inspection, the verification of the title report, the verification of HOA documents if those exist, and so on and so forth. The second is the appraisal contingency. Will this home appraise based on the offer that you wrote? Now, in this market, many buyers are removing the appraisal contingency because sometimes appraisers are having difficulty justifying the price buyers are paying. And buyers are like, I don't care what my lender thinks. I've got the money. I want this house. I have to pay this price to win. So it is what it is. And the third, and one of the biggest, is the loan contingency. Now, by default, the inspection contingencies are set for 17 days. And by default, the appraisal contingency is set for 17 days. And by default, the loan contingency is set for 21 days. So in a traditional market, that's generally how much time you have to figure your stuff out. But in this uber competitive market, we're seeing the timeframes brought down because sellers want to know that the buyer is willing to perform faster. So we're seeing inspections being done in 5 to 7 days, maybe sometimes 10 days. It all depends on the type of property. If it's a condo, it can be done quick. If it's a single family home, maybe there are other inspections that have to happen. Those are all negotiable terms. I would say up to 10 days is kind of the norm right now. As I said, appraisal is being removed. Some people are still leaving it in. Some people are offering 10 days, 12 days, or 14 days, or sometimes even 17 days. Again, it's a negotiable item that you have to go back and forth with to figure that out. And with loan, some buyers are removing the loan because they've been fully pre-approved and they feel comfortable with their ability to finance this property. They bring it down to 12 days, 14 days. It just depends on what the lender can do and how we can come to an agreement with both parties. So let's just say you set up your inspection contingency for 7 days. Let's say there's no appraisal. Let's say loan is 14 days. There is a document called a notice to perform. Now, once the seller accepts an offer from the buyer, the only person that actually legitimately has the ability to cancel the transaction is the buyer, based on anything they find that is unsatisfactory based on the contingencies they have. The seller is essentially locked in. The only way the seller can cancel the transaction is if the buyer is not performing. So let's say, for example, the loan contingency was set to be removed in 14 days. And let's say it's day 14. And let's say you, the listing agent, and the seller go to the buyer and say, hey, you guys have had 14 days. You haven't removed your contingencies. We are sending you a notice to perform to remove those contingencies. If the buyer does not respond within the agreed upon time frame for the notice to perform, then the seller has the right to cancel. Now, when I first started real estate, notice to perform was 1 day. But about 4 or 5 years ago, that changed to where the notice to perform is 2 days. So a couple things I want to talk about with the notice to perform. Number one, it doesn't matter what time you send the notice to perform. Okay, if you send it on Wednesday at 10 o'clock, it doesn't mean that the buyer has until Friday at 10 o'clock. It's not 48 hours, it's 2 days. So regardless of what time you send the notice to perform on Wednesday, 2 days out is Friday at 11:59 p.m. I'm going to repeat that. It doesn't matter what time you send the notice to perform out, the buyer has 2 full days to remove that specific contingency. And if they don't, the seller can terminate the transaction by sending the buyer a cancellation saying that they did not comply with the notice to perform. The reason why I'm making this video is because sometimes 2 days is an eternity in the world that we're in today. Things are happening really fast. 2 days can feel so long. And so back when I first started, one of my mentors told me, Robert, you definitely want to have 2 days for your notice to perform as a buyer. So I used to go in there and manually change it from 1 to 2, and 9 times out of 10, the seller wouldn't even notice. And actually, I was able to save a few deals because I was able to buy my client an extra day. But because you're the seller, I think it might be a smart idea, depending on the activity that you got, depending on the number of offers that you got, to maybe shorten that contingency down to 1 day. So that if your buyer is not performing, You don't have to wait 2 days for them to say, I'm in. You only have to wait 1 day, and 1 day is a lot faster than 2 days. And that's what's going to help keep you and your agent on track to keep the buyer accountable to the terms they agreed to when they signed the original offer. So I hope that all made sense. I hope you guys found value. If you saw this on social media, give me some social media love. Give me a like, give me a share. If you know somebody that might actually appreciate watching this video, send this video to them. If you have any specific topics you want me to talk about in the future on my future videos, please send those my way. And if you're thinking about selling and you want to talk about what my team and I do to help our clients get what they want in the time frame they want it with as little friction as possible, send me a message. Till next time, happy selling.